I often say men are trash, and I stand by that. Adam Carlson, I am on my knees for you. Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be filming a tag video. I feel like I'm doing like old school YouTube back in like 2015 when I used to film tag videos all the time. I don't know if I ever actually uploaded any of them or if any of them are on public still, but I used to film the most random tag videos and just like, I loved it and just sat and like answered questions and it was so fun. But today we're doing the mid-year freak out book tag thing. I've seen a few people do this and I have been wanting to do it, so I thought why not. And yeah, we're going to be talking about some of my favourite books that I've read so far this year, some new favourite authors, and so there are 13 questions, so let's just go ahead and get into it because you guys know I talk way too much. Also, I'm the most indecisive person ever, as you guys know, so I do not have just one book for each question. I have more than one, and I have a very big stack next to me of the physical books, and then we also have some that I read on my Kindle that I don't own the physical copy of. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into the video. So the first question is, what is the best book you have read so far this year? Now I have 4 because I couldn't choose one, so let's talk about them. So the first one is Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. I read this book at the beginning of the year and I absolutely fell in love with it. It is so good. It's also really short. It's just such a good read, and it's definitely a dark romance, so definitely look up trigger warnings if you want to read this. But basically the two main characters end up getting kidnapped by this crazy serial killer who has basically been kidnapping all these people, and they end up falling in love, and it's her sister's fiance, so like a little bit of a forbidden aspect there. And I loved this. Obviously gave it 5 stars, one of my favorite reads of the year. It definitely is like a dark romance, like I said, so definitely look up trigger warnings because there are a lot of triggering topics definitely discussed in this book, but it's so good. And then we have Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. I couldn't do this question without mentioning a Colleen Hoover book. You guys know she's my favorite author, my queen, love her so much, and Hopeless was definitely one of my favorite books that I've read by her this year. And I read a lot of my favourite Colleen Hoover books last year, but I definitely discovered the Hopeless and the Hopeless series this year, and I fell in love with it. And like Dean, Holder, everything, Sky, wanna hug her, the whole plot twist, just everything. This book is just so good. I am so excited for the new covers to come out though, and will I be buying them even though I already own all of the old covers? Yeah, probably, because take my money, Colleen, just take it all. I love this book and definitely one of my favorites of the year. Also honorable mention, Reminders of Him, her latest release that came out this year, has a special place in my heart. But I was like Hopeless or Reminders of Him, like I couldn't choose, so I thought I'd just quickly mention that. But I love Hopeless. And then the last two are Twisted Hate and then Twisted Lies, which I don't own the physical copy of yet because for some reason it doesn't come out till the end of July here, but like the ebook came out on the release date, so like that was a little confusing. But Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies, the last 2 books in the Twisted series. I love this series. It's one of my favorite series of all time. Companion novels about a group of friends and all their love stories. Twisted Hate is Enemies with Benefits and Best Friend's Brother, so good. And Twisted Lies is fake dating, forced proximity, Grumpy Sunshine, Christian Harper, literally everything. The way he's obsessed with Stella, I love it. And Josh Chen is just stunning. So those 2 are definitely 2 of my favorites that I've read this year. The next question is, what's the best sequel you've read this year? Now I don't read a lot of like series where they're like not companion novel series. Like I read a lot of companion novel series. I don't read like series that all follow like the same type of thing, so I don't really have like a sequel per se that was my favorite. The only like series that I read was the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy, and I wouldn't say that the second book is like a favorite that I've read, so I decided to do Losing Hope by Colleen Hoover, which is the second book in the Hopeless series. This is just Hopeless told in Dean's point of view, and it is definitely one of my favorites that I've read this year because it wasn't repetitive and it didn't feel like I was reading the same story, which I really loved. I was a little bit hesitant to start reading this one because I just felt like that it was going to be the same thing, but obviously you're getting Dean's point of view. I flew through it. I loved it. It was really good and it didn't feel like the same story. You definitely got some of obviously the same parts, but you got parts that you didn't see, and you got a lot of Dean with his sister and his whole like family relationship, and then you got to see like things that happened in Hopeless that you didn't get to see the full story of, because obviously Dean wasn't with Sky or things like that, and which was really, really good, and I really loved it, and I definitely recommend reading it if you haven't already, because it's so good. And the only part that was a little bit repetitive was like the end, like 50 pages, because that was like the big reveal of everything, and obviously that had to be pretty much the same except you get like Dean's take on it. But I loved it, so good, and definitely my favorite sequel of the year. Next question is, what's a new release that you haven't read this year yet but you want to? I have two that I haven't read yet, but they're on my July TBR, and I definitely want to read them by the end of the month, hopefully. I don't know when this video is coming out, so we'll see if I've read them by then. But that is Set on You by Amy Lee and The Infinity Between Us by N.S. Perkins. These are two new releases that came out a couple months ago, and I still haven't read them yet. I like pre-ordered both of these and got them pretty much when they came out, but I just haven't read them, and I don't know why, but I really want to read this. This is a enemies to lovers, maybe slow burn boy falls first romance. She's a fitness influencer. It's got like plus size representation, which we love. He's a firefighter. They meet at the gym. And then Infinity Between Us is very love in other words energy, childhood friends to lovers to strangers to lovers, which is one of my favorite tropes, but I really want to read it. Plus the cover, stunning. I love it. So those are two new releases that I really want to read. I just haven't got around to it yet, but I need to, hopefully by the end of the month I will have read both of these. You'll see it in my wrap up, fingers crossed. Oh, okay, the next question is one I'm so excited for. Okay, is most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. I have so many. So The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas, the second book in the like Spanish Love Deception universe. The Spanish Love Deception is one of my favorite books of all time. You guys know it's everything to me, Aaron Blackford, and this is Rosie's story, who is Lena's best friend, and I believe her love interest is Lena's cousin, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's right. And I'm so excited to read this one. It comes out in September, I believe, in Australia. I swear it was meant to come out in August, but maybe I was wrong. Or maybe Australia's just getting it later, because that's what always happens, because apparently everyone hates us here, which is fine, but you know, please release books at the same time as America. It would be lovely. But this is about Rosie, and basically she moves in with this guy and then they fall in love, which is super cute. False proximity roommates, we love that. And I believe that it's dual POV, so you will be getting the guy's point of view, so I'm really excited for that. And then also It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. You guys know It Ends With Us is one of my favorite books by her. It Starts With Us is like a sequel, prequel type of thing from what I've heard. I'm so excited to read it. I'm not going to tell you what it's about really, because I don't want to spoil It Ends With Us, but it's so good. Can't wait to read it and see everything that happens. And then another one is Mercy by Sarah Kate, which is the last book, or the fourth book in the Scandalous Players Club series. You guys know I've been reading this series and I love it. It's basically a series of, each book follows one of the like owners of the Scandalous Players Club, which is like a sex club type of thing, and you get every like owner's story. So there's Praise, Eyes on Me, Give Me More, and then Mercy, which is this final book. And I'm super excited to read this one because it's very different to anything I've read before. Like, it's about a female dominant, which I've never read anything like that really. Like, I don't think I've ever read a book where the female MC is the dominant one in the relationship. It's always like the guy, because that's what I like. But I'm really interested to read this one and to see her story. I believe it's with the guy from the first book's son, so that'll be super interesting. And then the last one that I'm super excited for is The Do-Over by T.L. Swan. You guys know I love T.L. Swan, and this is the fourth book in the Miles High Club series, a series about 4 brothers. I love the rest of the books, The Stopover, The Takeover, and The Casanova. Those have been about the first 3 brothers, and then this one is about Christian and his love interest, and I believe it's friends to lovers. I think he gets like hardcore friend zone, but he's like not having it, and he like wants to get out of the friend zone. So I'm interested to read this one. Plus Christian has kind of been my favorite ever since we've seen like little snippets of him in all the other books, so I'm super excited to read his book. And that is the last one that I'm super excited for. Then the next question is your biggest disappointment of the year. Guys are gonna hate me for this one because it's such a loved book, but I just couldn't get through it. I DNF'd it. I tried my hardest, but I just don't think me and this author get along. Like, I don't really love her writing. It's Beach Read by Emily Henry. Guys, I tried. I tried so hard. I even bought the American version. Like, and I tried so hard to love this book. Like, I wanted to. especially because everyone was picturing Gus as Harry Styles like on TikTok. I was like, oh my god, you guys know I'm the biggest Harry stan ever. Like I just had to read it. And then I started it. It was a little slow in the beginning, as most Emily Henry books are for me. But once I get into it, I'm usually okay. I was into it, and I was just kind of bored, and I didn't click with it. I didn't really like the characters. I liked Gus, and some of the quotes stunning, like, when I watch you sleep I feel overwhelmed that you exist. Like, stop it right now, my favorite quote ever. But like, I just couldn't get into it. I wanted to love it. And the same thing happened with You and Me on Vacation, or People We Meet on Vacation. Didn't like it. But Book Lovers is where it's at. I loved that book. Charlie, everything. I loved Gus and January's relationship. It was like cute, but like I literally have, like I still have a bookmark in it, and it was on chapter 22, page 265, and I had like this much left, and I just couldn't finish it. I tried, but I was just bored, and it was putting me in a book slump, and I wanted to love it. I'm like so sorry. And it's such a well-loved book, but yeah, this was my biggest disappointment because I was so excited to read this, and I thought I was going to love it because the plot is so interesting as well. Like, they switch genres and like take each other on like these dates. She takes him on dates, he takes her to all these sci-fi things, and it was really cool, but like it just wasn't that exciting, and I hated that I didn't love it. But yeah, that was my biggest disappointment. What was your biggest surprise? Like the book that you were super surprised that you liked? I have two, and they are two books that are written in third person. Guys know third person isn't for me. It's not for me. But these books, so good, and I might have to read more hyped up books that are in third person, and that is The Kiss Quotient and The Love Hypothesis. Guys, I finally read The Love Hypothesis. I don't know when this video is coming out. If it's before my wrap up, then you won't know that I've read this, but I read this month. I get the hype. I get the hype because Adam freaking Carlson, everything to me. I tabbed it, like you can't see it, but I tabbed it, so many tabs. Chapter 16. Chapter 16. If you know, you know. That chapter. Oh my god. Oh my god. Everything. Adam Carlson, I am on my knees for you. I love him. I loved it. So good. Hated the sciencey talk. It was just a bit much for me, but surprised that I flew through it because it was in third person. It was a little difficult to read at the start, but once I got into it, I was fine. Same with The Kiss Quotient. Love this book. Michael and Stella, so good. Obsessed. Stunning, beautiful, perfect. Michael, everything to me. Love this book, so good. So these were my two biggest surprises this year because I didn't think that I would love them as much as I did. Like, these books had me smiling, giggling, like just like grinning so much. I loved it. It was a great time. So good. Who is your new favorite author? So I have two. Sarah Kate, who wrote the Scandalous Players Club series. I love her writing style, and just like her smut is top tier. Like, her characters so good, and I definitely want to read more from her. And then also Jennifer Hartman, who I mentioned before. I actually forgot about and didn't write her down to include in this, so I technically have three. But love her. Lotus, Still Beating, two of my favorite books ever. And then Carrie Ann Cole. I read my first Carrie Ann Cole book this year, loved it, fell in love. I love her writing style. It's so easy to read. I feel like if you were in a slump, she'd be an author to get you out because her writing style is just so easy to like consume, and I love it, and I definitely want to read more from her. I want to read her, I don't know what the series is called, but it's the first book, Storm, and then they're like all about the band members. I really want to read that series because I read Torn and Tide, which are like kind of like they follow some of the same characters that you see in that series. And then I also read Don't Kiss the Bride, and I just love her writing style. So those are some of my new favorite authors this year. Who's your new fictional crush? I have so many that I could just be here all day talking about them. Dean Holder from Hopeless. Everything to me. He is everything to me. He is the standard for men. He is the standard for men, and I will never lower my expectations. Like, if you're not Dean Holder, go away. Like, he is the standard for men. Like, he was everything. The way he treats Sky, like, stop it right now. I love him so much. Then we have Christian Harper from Twisted Lies. I love that book with my whole heart. The way he's so obsessed with her, like, can a boy be that obsessed with me, please? Like, thank you. And like the things that he says to her, like, you were extraordinary. Like, I can't deal with it. I love it. And then Declan Kane from Terms and Conditions, you guys know, love this series. Dreamland Millionaires, Rowan Kane, the first book, love him. But Declan Kane, I read this one this year. Declan Kane, I love him. I love him so much. I can't even words, because just Declan Kane. That's just it. So those are some of my fictional crushes. I could be here all day talking about fictional men that I'm in love with, but this would be a very long video. Who is your newest favourite character? This one was kind of difficult for me because I didn't really know. I was going to mention some of my trusty besties from Addicted Calloway, but I realised that I didn't read Addicted Calloway this year. I read it last year. Like, I read most of the books last year, and the only one I've read this year is Thrive. So I will mention Lily and Lowe because I love them with my whole heart. I love the core 6. I just love all of them. And then I also read Hot House Flower this year, so Rack and Daisy, of course, and Rose and Connor, just because I love Connor Culver, and Rose is a bad bitch and we love her, and her energy is everything. I aspire to be as confident as Rose because she oozes confidence. We love her. So my core 6, of course. And then we have Kelsey from So Not Meant to Be. I know a lot of people didn't like this book, but I really liked it. Like, it's the second book in the series. The first one's Not So Meet Cute, and this one is the second book about the girl from the first book's sister. And Kelsey, I really liked her character. I really related to her a lot, and a lot of her like struggles with like men. I'm like, girl, same. And like how she was just feeling like she wasn't good enough, and like, we're not having a therapy session right now, but like same, because like men have made me feel that way because men suck and I hate the male population. You all suck if any of you are watching. I often say men are trash, and I stand by that because all they do is hurt you, really. Like, we don't need to get into it, but like, I just really related to Kelsey's character. So if you've read it, then you kind of know. But yeah, so I really liked her, and the way that JP was with her and made her feel like she was good enough, and we just love that. I need to mention that to me, so hit me up. What books made you cry? I'm here all day telling you all the books that made me cry, because there are so many. Because I'm a baby and I cry at freaking everything. First one that I don't own, The Gravity of Us by Brittany C. Cherry. This is the last book in the Element series. They're all standalones though, basically, because they don't even intertwine. And I love this book. It made me sob like a freaking baby. All of Brittany C. Cherry books do that to me, but I read a lot of them last year, so yeah, but I love this book. Then we have Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. This book made me ugly cry. I don't know if it was because it was that time of the month or what, but I was bawling my eyes out at every page. Like, I'm pretty sure I have like tear stains in my book because I was crying that much. Yeah, of course, Colleen Hoover always makes you cry. All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. I reread this book this year. It made me sob again. Just the end gets me every time. And then Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. This book made me cry. There's a particular part in it that made me literally sob. So yeah, I'm pretty sure there's so many more because every book makes me cry. The next question is, what book made you happy? So Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter made me literally smile the whole time I was reading it because it's a cute little YA rom-com. So good. Loved all the movie references. Stunning. And I was smiling the whole time I was reading it. Same thing with The Kiss Quotient. Smiling the whole time. Like, kicking, screaming, giggling, loving my life because Michael is the sweetest and things he does for Stella. Everything. The last two are Not So Meet Cute and So Not Meant to Be by Megan Quinn. These are rom-coms. Laughing my freaking ass off when I was reading these. So funny. And so they made me so happy because they were literally hilarious. Like, such good rom-coms. Such good rom-coms. And the next question is, what is the most beautiful book you have bought or read this year? I have not read this, but I just bought it and it is the most stunning thing I own. Love Stories by Trent Dalton. Can we just take a moment to appreciate this cover? It's hardcover. It's stunning. I'm obsessed. Like, the pink, the gold, the cover is just everything. Like, and even the spine, like it just sits so nicely on my shelf. Like I just want to display it. Like it's so stunning. And this is basically, it's a non-fiction. It's about this guy who basically sat and asked people about their love stories, like platonic, romantic, happy, sad, whatever, and wrote about them in this book, which I think is really cool. So I'm really excited to read this one. I haven't read it yet, but it is the prettiest book I own. The last question is, what books do you want to read by the end of the year? I have so many, so let's talk about them. The first two are It Happened One Summer and Hook, Line and Sinker, both by Tessa Bailey. I just bought It Happened One Summer, so I want to read this and then read Hook, Line and Sinker, which is the second book in the series about her best friend from the first book. So I really want to read these. Is it her best friend or her sister? I don't know. One or the other. But I really want to read these. They're both in third person, but you guys know I can read third person now. So I want to read these. Can't wait. Then we have Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McCleston. If I haven't read this book by the end of the year, honestly, all yell at me in the comments of my videos. Like just yell at me to read it, because if I haven't read this by the end of the year, something is wrong. Like I am concerned for myself because I have had this for like over a year and I still haven't read it, and I really want to read it and I need to read it. Male romance, fake dating, like need I say more? It's in third person, which is why I put it off for so long, but I need to read it. It's on my TBR for this month, but if I haven't read it by the end of the year, yell at me. And then I also want to read Addicted After All by the end of the year, and basically like the Addicted / Cowboy Sisters series. I have 4 more books left, so I have this Fuel the Fire, Long Way Down, and then Some Kind of Perfect, which is the epilogue novel. But yeah, I just this is the only book I own because the other ones are all coming in the mail. So I'm really excited to read this, and I'm sad because I don't want to finish the series, but I also, you know, like want to finish it, but I don't because I love these characters. They feel like best friends, and like I just love them so much, and I'm not ready for it to be over, but at the same time like I want to keep reading. So yeah, those are the books that I want to read for the rest of the year, and that is the last question for this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a bit of a long one, but I really enjoyed talking about all the books that I've loved this year and things like that. And if you guys want to see more like book tag related videos, let me know and I could definitely do some because these are super fun. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.